Okay guys, we have a lot to get through in this video. This video we're going to be explaining or giving my theory on what actually happens in the year 2024, because we know that something does happen but we don't know what, but something does indeed happen. We know that 2024 has to include the reverse flash somehow, because as we remember back in season 1, Eobard Thawne, who was masquerading as Harrison Wells, kept going back to that news article, and that news article was April 25th, 2024, and that's the exact date that we're gonna be in the next episode. So somehow, some way, reverse flash is involved in this. But let's not forget about the fact that everything that happens in this year 2024 has to link back to Savatar. So whatever happens with reverse flash, etc., it has to link back to Savatar. So the episode is titled The Once and Future Flash, and The Once and Future Flash was actually a comic book way back when. And in this exact comic book, it was the exact and in this story was indeed the origin of Reverse Flash. And just to basically run things through, just to basically speed things up, it was basically the exact same origin in which Eobard Thawne explained to Barry in season 2. The only difference is that in the comic book version, Wally thought that Barry came back to life basically after he died from the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline, but it turned out to be Eobard Thawne who was impersonating Barry because he idolized him. That was basically the same thing as what Eobard explained in season 2, apart from the fact that he impersonated Barry. That's the only difference. So that was the origin of Eobard Thawne in the Once and Future Flash comic. Now we have to look at Savatar's origin. Bear with me here. We have a few points to get through. Savatar was a pilot. Now, that is a clue in identifying who Savatar actually is. We're going to get to that in a bit later on in the video. He was hit by a lightning bolt as he was testing his jet at high speed. That is a part of his origin. Also, he fought Wally West before Barry Allen, so that kind of makes him a Wally West villain if you look at it that way. But he also makes him a Johnny Quick villain, because Johnny Quick was the only speedster when he was around in his actual time. Johnny Quick was the only speedster there. So as Wally West fought Savatar, Wally was the one who trapped Savatar in the Speed Force, not Barry. Whereas in the TV show, it was Barry who trapped Savatar in the Speed Force, but in the comic book version, Wally West trapped Savatar in the Speed Force. Now, let's talk about the 2024 article. What is the key information in that article that will help us, to draw an image of what actually does happen in the year 2024, April 25th, 2024. So the article clearly states that Green Arrow, Hawkgirl, and Atom, they help the Flash defeat Reverse Flash in a battle of some sort, and it involves red skies. And it comes to a conclusion where the Flash misses in the Vanishing Crisis. Like, he goes missing in the crisis. So what could that be? What crisis is that? Well, we know that Mirror Master and the Top are going to be in this exact episode, but I think their stuff is only going to be present day stuff. It might be in the year 2024, we don't know, but I'm guessing in this theory it is actually just present day stuff. So let's just say that they're present day stuff. So when Barry travels to 2024, April 25th, he tries to find out who Savatar is. So he goes to his future self, he goes to Cisco, he goes to Wally, who's now in a wheelchair, to find some answers. Meanwhile, Reverse Flash is doing something so big that catches the attention of all the heroes that, that's why Arrow, Hawkgirl, Atom, all of them are in this episode. And I think that the Flash that goes missing is the future Flash the one with the long hair, the emo hair, that is the Flash that goes missing. Bear with me here. So, our present day Barry, he somehow encourages this future Flash to, come out of retirement to stop grieving over Iris's death. I think anyway, somehow, some way, I don't know. And that gives future Flash encouragement to come out of retirement to help Arrow, Hawkgirl, and Atom defeat Reverse Flash somehow. We don't know what the Reverse Flash is up to. Since he comes out of retirement, Reverse Flash realizes he is outnumbered, so he figures that the only way to defeat them is to actually go back in time and kill Barry. Because this Reverse Flash, by the way, this Reverse Flash has not yet gone back in time to kill Barry's mother. So this is the exact time where he actually does it, the year 2024. This is when he finally decides to go back in time and kill Barry's mother. Well, he actually wanted to kill Barry, but, he ended up killing his mother in retaliation because he was angry. So he does this, and future Barry goes back to stop him, because otherwise, if he does succeed, then he will cease to exist. Both Reverse Flash and Flash will cease to exist. So that happens, but in doing so causes this big red sky lightning event. I don't know what happened. It causes the sky to turn red, and my guess is that this is somehow connected to the Speed Force, a great lightning storm that turns red, and it hits the person who is Savatar. This is when we see the origin of Savatar, and this links back to the comic book version of this exact story, the Once and Future Flash, because this is when we see the origin of the Reverse Flash. But in the TV series, this is when we're going to see the origin of Savatar. So the red lightning storm, the red sky lightning storm, hits the person who is Savatar, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the lightning hits the person who is Savatar as he is running away from the storm at the highest speed possible. Just like in the comic books, when Savatar, the person who was Savatar, was testing his jet at the highest speed possible, but was hit by a bolt of lightning. So this is the exact same thing that could happen in the TV show, only that it was a lightning storm and he was trying to run away from the lightning. But he gets hit by it, and as he's running, he gets faster and faster and faster. And because he now has super speed, and that is how he gets trapped in the Speed Force, because the lightning gave him super speed and he was running faster and faster without him knowing. And now he's in the Speed Force for all eternity. And that is how the future Barry causes Savatar to become Savatar. Now, if this theory was to be true, who would in fact be Savatar? I'm not going to say Barry, I'm not going to say Julian, and I'm not going to say Eddie, because I've already covered why I think they could be Savatar. So let's mix it up a bit. Let's make it a bit interesting. What if Savatar was HR or Wally West? Now, when I say Savatar is HR, what if HR is not really HR? But what if HR was in fact Johnny Quick? Yes, what if HR was Johnny Quick? I say Johnny Quick because Savatar's origin involved Johnny Quick being the only speedster around his time. So that could tie into the fact that HR could be impersonating Harrison Wells, but he is Johnny Quick in disguise. And this could in fact be the case because he uses the light reflection technology to make people believe that he is indeed the real Harrison Wells, the real HR, but he is not in fact HR, but he is in fact Johnny Quick. And the face that we saw when HR transformed to that other face in the previous episode of The Flash in season 3, can't really remember what episode it was called, that is his real face. HR is just a cover-up. It could be Wally, because what if instead of Savatar facing Wally like in the comics, because Savatar faced Wally before he faced Barry, what if Wally was indeed Savatar? In the comic books, one of Savatar's abilities is to give people speed. And in the TV show, we already know that Savatar can give people powers. He has the ability through the Philosopher's Stone to give people their powers. That's how Wally West got his powers. He gave Wally West his powers. Why did he do that? Maybe he gave Wally West his powers because he actually is Wally West. He actually gave himself his speed. And that also links to what Savatar said when he created himself. Because by giving Wally his speed, and Wally is Savatar, he actually did create himself. I know this is probably far-fetched. This is probably not going to happen because this is a crazy theory. This is a long shot because of the fact that I don't think they're going to make it this crazy, you know. I think that they want to save the craziness for the season finale. But you never know. This could be the case. So this is my very crazy theory on what I think could in fact happen in the year 2024. What do you guys think? Who do you think Savatar is? Do you think HR could be Savatar? Do you think Wally could be Savatar? Do you think anything I've said in this video could actually be true? Let me know what you guys think. Share thoughts down below in the comments. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with your friends. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys later for more videos.